Hi and welcome back. In this session we are going to discuss about the Azure container instances and Azure Kubernetes cluster at a very brief overview. Uh, so basically for Azure container instances are nothing but like a serverless computing that is there in Azure, where you do not want to, let's say you have your own application code and you do not want to deploy it on a VM which is owned by you, uh, or you just want to manage only the application code. Either it can run on a Windows operating system or it can run on the Linux based operating system. So for example, in this specific case, here let's say you own this application code and you do not want, um, let's say you own this application code, you do not want to have a separate VM or dedicated server, you don't want to have that cost. Then in that case you can go for the Azure container instances, where there will not be any VM that is managed by you or any server that is managed by you. Okay, so entirely you define a container instance, and this entire part will be there in the Azure. So what you do is you develop your code and run and build the dependencies, dependent components of your application along with that code, and then put it in the Azure container instances. That's how it will work. Similarly, I just a very sample example which is shows how the Azure container instances work. You have a browser, or you have uh, like a Azure container instance that is deployed in Azure. Basically it can pull data, it can have the dependent components from different areas, and it can run on Azure on its own. Okay. Similarly, coming to the Kubernetes cluster, basically it is nothing but a combination of the many components. Basically it is a much complex configuration when compared to any other component. So in this Azure Kubernetes cluster, we have like small instances which are nothing but the ACI instances. Here it's been shown here, which are called pods, and which is hosted within a Azure container instance. And each of these are nothing but there will be a nodes that are inside the nodes. There will be a pods which are actually managed by the Kubernetes master, which is there in the Azure. So this entire setup, basically, whenever you don't want to manage the servers or the uh, infrastructure components uh, of the computing resources, you can use the Azure Kubernetes cluster. Okay, let's quickly show one example related to container instances. So when you go to Azure portal, click on the container instances. You can this window will come, where you can just click on the create button. So let me create a resource group or the demo as my resource group. Container details. So here it is not allowing to give the South India I'm going to choose. So next one is the image source. So basically, how do you want your container instance to be built or running on top of? So image source you need to choose wisely. It can be on the quick start images, which is nothing but either the Windows based images, or you can choose Linux based images. So I'm just going to just choose the Windows based. And the size will also matter here, like here it's defaulting to 2.5 core CPUs and 2.5 GB. You can just choose the size as well. I just choose one and I'll leave the other thing as it is, and then go to networking. It can be deployed as public or private. I will leave as is. So there are advanced settings like restart policy and all. You can set on failure what you want to do. I will also leave it as is. So can just review and create and hit on. It will validate a couple of things in the background, and hit on create. It's going to create the container instance for us. Let's wait for a minute. Okay, now the deployment is complete. Let's go to the resource. So here we can see our Kubernetes container is ready. So you can see a lot of navigations here, out of which main one I just wanted to show you here is containers. So here is our container. Can go to containers, you can change the properties. To start this, hit refresh. Container state is still waiting, so wait for a couple of more minutes. So now the container count is 1 and the FQDN is still yet to assign. So here the our container FQDN will come, post which we will be able to use that instance. Okay, it started running now. Okay, That's all in this video. Thank you.